Good morning, everyone, or good day, or good evening, whenever you're listening to this episode. Welcome to episode 11 of Coffee with YEA podcast. I'm Iva Korović, young European ambassador for Montenegro, and today I have to present you with a very exciting topic and guest, and that is female activism via internet on the Western Balkans. And my special guest for today is Miss Branislava Brana Antović Aleksić. She graduated from the Faculty of Political Science in Belgrade with a diploma in journalism. She is the editor-in-chief and founder of her blog, Brana's Divine World, which came to be in 2010. It started out as a fashion blog, continued as a lifestyle blog, and now Ms. Branislava talks about feminism, both social justice and injustice, art, culture, and much more. She is a committed activist as well. Through her Instagram page, she has a following of 58.4 thousand people. Branislava acts as an activist influencer. Branislava, welcome.
Oh my God, Eva, thank you for such a lovely introduction. I'm stunned. The woman was too speak too stunned to speak.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You deserve such an introduction.
Thank you. Really, I'm honored.
Well, Branislava, how are you today?
Thank you. I'm very good.
Did you notice any changes in the last couple of years when it comes to journalism, be it male or female, or actually language reform?
There is a difference. There is a big difference, I would say. So we are aware of things that we were not even talking 15 years ago when I was a college student. We weren't talking about feminism a lot. We had some big deals, some big problems. We still have them, but when you are a child in a country with so many problems, with war and with sanctions and everything, you're not thinking about feminism or about ecology. So of course, language is very important, and I can see that there are a lot of differences in that way also. But for me, more important than language are the changes in the behavior. In the way women are like now want to fight for themselves and for other women, and to talk about problems, to talk about very important topics, to talk about the most hard topics for them, sexual assaults, any kind of injustice, not just in a way of directly assaults or something like that, but in a way of behaving to women, So those are very, very important things, and the fact that we now, you and I, are talking about this is the example of that change. Because 10 years ago we didn't have this kind of podcast shows about this topic. Even in magazines, even on websites that were for women, there were not so many topics like this. But now things are changing, and I'm very happy for that, because we are a part of the change.
Well, luckily things are changing. You mentioned things like this not being catered to women in magazines. That reminded me of, actually, you posted and reacted to this last year, I think, when a publishing house from Serbia divided two bookshelves with genres directed to either men or either women. Of course, putting classics, philosophy, and harder things to read, harder things to read for the men, and those lovey-dovey rom-com, YA type of novels on the female side, which is also one of the ways maybe society portrays, not maybe, definitely portrays women, which you talk a lot about on your, and is this kind of injustice, well, injustice doesn't have to be purely physical because words cut deeper than knives. We've all learned this through our lives somehow. But is this maybe one of the reasons why you decided to start swimming in the waters of activism? Why you started acting as an activism through your Instagram, and through your blog and through the articles you write, of course?
Thank you, Eva, for that religiously following of my content.
I'm very honest.
Thank you so much. Yes, that example was, oh my God. There were a lot of examples. That was one of, I think, the worst with the books. Unfortunately, I think that people from marketing and people from media are the people who need to learn the most about these things, because they are sending the message through these kind of actions, and they do not realize that. But we must remember that people in those professions are usually people who are often older than 40 years. And I think that is the problem. I think that younger people will make the change, because, as I said, older people even do not realize still that there is a problem if you say a book is for a man or for a woman, because it's a darker topic. For example, it's a Stephen King. Oh yeah, that is for men. No, that is so stupid. So yeah, we need to know that. I think that we need to hope that younger generations will change that. My activism started totally spontaneously, and I don't know is that an activism, but yeah, I'm trying to change something through my content and the things I'm writing and the things I'm speaking. And because I cannot be silent, there are times when I need when I feel a need to just be quiet. Yes, to just to be here for myself. But usually those moments are very rare. Often I want to talk. Often I want to scream about injustice, especially injustice towards women. So for me, it's like that is easier to speak about that, to write about that. It's easier than to be quiet. I cannot be quiet, and of course, not all battles are my battles, but some of them are, and I want to be a part of them. I want to be a part of a change I want to see in the world, as Dalai Lama said, be a change you want to see in the world. So I'm doing just that. I'm trying to make a little change, and if I'm succeeding in that, I'm happy.
With a woman with such a following, you, of course, it motivates you greatly. And there are so many people who follow you for your activism and who learned activism from you and from people like you. And that gives you the motivation to not want to be silenced, and you shouldn't be. And that leads me to another question, which is young women in the Western Balkans finding their voice online to do activism, which is something that we've seen a lot, especially on Instagram and Twitter, which are, I think, the most prominent and most engaging social medias. They're the easiest to use and reach the most audience. We've seen the occurrence of a lot of Instagram accounts educating us on problems that the patriarchy and this male-dominated world imposed on us. And we actually wanted to go against it and again, coming to this almost sacral saying, find our voice by combating it. Could you tell us maybe something about how, to cut it short, how women in the Western Balkans found their voice in online activism?
Yeah, I think that internet gave us that voice. We found it through social media. And I think that is the best thing about social media. The fact that gave us a voice, gave us an opportunity to speak louder, to speak first of all, and then to speak louder about the real problems, about the real things that are bothering us. If you think more, in the past, we didn't have that. We had traditional media that were also created by idea of a man, of a white man specifically. So yeah, it's for us, it's an opportunity to have our own media, and every of our profile, Instagram profile, Twitter profile, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube channel, TikTok profile, everything now of every profile of that kind is a little media, our own media, and we are editor-in-chief now. We can make news. We can talk about news. We can talk about problems. We can say, no, this is not good. This is not fair. So yeah, I think that is the most important change that happened to us. And I'm so glad to see how many amazing women use their voice and talk about important topics. And yeah, I think that the easiest way is to use your social media. No matter what you are posting regularly, no matter. If you have opinion about some topic and you want to speak about it, use your social media. I think that if you have a profile, use it. So I saw a lot of changes in that field. A lot of my female readers now are using their own social media channels, and they're talking about important topics. And now I ask them to tag me so I can see. And now I'm informed by them. Earlier, I informed my readers. Now my readers informed me about different problematic situations. And for me, that is an amazing thing, because now not just that they observe and they see that there are problems. Now they want to talk about the problem.
Yeah, even though the internet is bad in some ways, it can also be a tool to do great things. And as you mentioned, it gave us a voice. Do you think we use it well enough on the internet as girls when it comes to activism?
Of course, we can use it better, of course, but I do not think that internet is bad. I think that internet is like any other stuff in the world. It can be bad, but if you use it in the right way, it's definitely good. So for me, internet is is a very important part of my life. I'm on the internet I'm professionally on the internet from 2010, so 12 years, and really, internet brought me just amazing things. So yeah, we can use it better, of course. How to realize that those profiles are not just for a fun, you know. Internet is not just for a fun, and I think that we already know that. There are a lot of ways to use it, but in a way to inform ourselves, to inform, you know, in a world of fake news, you need to know how to find the truth. This is the call for you to talk about your feelings and how you feel about yourselves and how you feel about the topics we mentioned here before, to share your feelings, because I think in the past, usually no one wanted to hear how we were feeling. I think that is the biggest problem. Usually they would like to say to us how we need to feel. So I think this is the moment to share our feelings, to talk about how we are truly feeling about some things that are not easy, you know, to talk about everything that was not gifted to us, but everything that was ordered for us. How to say, those things were not our choice. Those were things. Those things were. You understand what I want to say? To talk about all those things that
we didn't choose them. We were obliged to talk about them.
Yes, obliged. Yes. So I think that is the important part of the internet, to talk about those things that during decades were taught as the only way to live as a woman.
I love how you mentioned emotion, because that's something we tend to push away in order to look stronger and to come off, better and not as frail and fragile. And that leads me to a question I've been dying to ask you. And it's about the interview series project you have going on, Brana, which first of all is such a fun play on words with your name and the word chosen in the female form in our language. So creative. And I wanted to ask you how it came to be and what's the most memorable story you've covered while doing this.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a chosen story, odabrana priča. Yeah, and the name was made by one of my readers, Iva. She's your how to say in English,
Namesake.
Yes. So yeah, I realized that I want to sit and talk with woman that with amazing woman that I admired. So I was thinking how to do that, and I realized, okay, let's do it on Instagram as Instagram Live. And I do it first with Lana Bastasic, the writer from Banja Luka, and that was an amazing talk. And after that, I realized, okay, I need to do this as a regular part of my Instagram account. So in January of 2021, I started this series, and my first guest was Radmila Petrović, an amazing poet from Serbia, and that was the show, how to say it, live show. During a lot of people were crying because of her poet they are amazing, very, very specific about life of women in Serbian villages. Very, very interesting. And after that, I just started to call all of the women that I am admiring. So there were a lot of amazing stories. And I can say that I hope that from this September, Odabrana priča, or chosen story, will be a podcast, will be in a form of podcast. So yeah, I'm happy to work on that during the summer.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm happy to hear that it reached, that height, that it can become a podcast, that so many people enjoy it. Firstly, myself and my friends. And we're so glad that it gets this new suit of a podcast. And the stories you covered, so it has something, like a string that connects people. And I think stories that are so personal have that goal, first and foremost, to connect people and to, inspire us to share our stories too, because nobody's life is one-sided, nobody's story is one-sided. So maybe some people didn't know this before your guest came to your show. They of course knew it, but didn't know it in that, in that extreme as it was presented in the Odabrana priča. And we in the YEA Balkans group, in the Young European Ambassadors project, we talk about these things a lot: how to bring education, how to bring, but mostly education and things like this to people in secluded areas, difficulties of other forms. And I wanted to ask you if you noticed, or if you could tell us how the EU helped the young people find their voice and assertive when it comes to working in activism and helping others. Because, I think you're familiar also.
Young people from different countries. So yeah, every way of connecting people is a good way, to bring them, to not to bring them, but to also inform them, to educate them, and to how to say, to give them a strength to fight for a better world for all of us. I think that it's important to have some kind of, like a swimmer. So when he's jump on his, I don't know how it's called in English, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, we all need a pushboard.
Pushboard, yes. So in that way, because usually institutions in Serbia, for example, they are here, but usually they are not the real pushboard for young people. So we need help in that area, to know that we can be heard, and to know that we can have help to fight for a better world, to fight for a justice, to fight for that change that we were talking about. So yeah, I can see that there are a lot of ways that EU is doing that, and for me, EU is the only direction in which we need to look, and I'm of that. I'm like that. I'm always looking in that direction, not in any else. And I hope that we as a country, we will look in the whole in that direction more, even more now during the whole situation in Europe and in the world. So yeah, for me, that is, as I said, the only direction that we need to go in any way.
I agree, and I'm so happy to hear you say that. We were able to enjoy each other's music, each other's food, each other's dances, each other's company, which is the most important thing, you know. And we were getting along so well. And maybe we wouldn't if it weren't for this amazing experience that brought us together. Branislava, I have one
Yes.
final question for you. It is about the most influential and impactful story you have done, regardless of the blog or the columns you write. So both of that, something that you were yourself most surprised by, that you said, yes, I have to cover this. More people have to know about this.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of stories like that, unfortunately. But I think that the story that I was about, the story about which I was devastated and I wanted to write about it, is the story about Milica Filipović from Šabac, a young mother who lost her child in a hospital. She needed to miscarriage alone. It was an induction miscarriage. I think that I'm sorry, I do not know how to say in English, but it's a situation in which you need to miscarriage because there is a problem with the baby. And she did that totally alone in a Serbian hospital because it's a procedure. You know, they gave you medication, and you need to wait, and you need to do that alone in a toilet. And after I heard about her story, I was shocked, and she shared the story on her Facebook profile, and it gained some attention, but not the attention of media. So I wrote about it for a Danas website, for which I am writing a column. And after that, it became viral. It became news in every Serbian media. And after all of that, Milica started her legal battle because there were a lot of how to say, there were a lot of mistakes in a way hospital and people in hospital were treating her. So after that story, there were organized a legal team for all women who have suffered something similar. And now Milica is fighting her battle. It's not easy. It's hard, but there are 3 amazing female lawyers who want to help them. And that is the direct product of one story. So I'm very, very not happy. I'm not happy because I need to write about this, but yeah, I'm satisfied that something is happening. And I think that this topic is very important in Serbia, not just in Serbia, in the whole region, because in the whole region, we have a problem with the care of mothers and newborns. So yeah, I hope that this is just the start of a changes and start of a very important battle for better conditions in the hospital for mothers and newborns.
Let me tell you, I got goosebumps from listening to this because I know the story. I read the article, and I personally was shocked with the news. Of course, it's happening all around the Western Balkans, but putting it so plainly was really shocking and really heart-wrenching. And I'm glad that Milica is fighting for a better society, for better conditions for women that will unfortunately have to go through the same thing. So it's a great thing that this is happening, and that this is how we influence our society. This is how we as women share stories, help one another, and in return, our society is giving us a better world to live in.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Milica is an amazing woman who used her social media to tell her story, and that is the way of activism. That is the way of fight, and that is the exact same thing that we were talking in a previous answers.
Exactly. Fighting with words and fighting with intention is more powerful than, holding a weapon in your hand.
Yes, of
This is
course.
how big changes are actually made.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you for showcasing us. This will unfortunately, have to conclude today's episode of the Coffee with YEA podcast. I'm so happy to have had you here and have talked with you and discussed these immensely important topics. I'm so honored to have you as our guest of our collaboration. Thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you, Eva. You were amazing. I really am thankful for all kind words and the way you introduced me and the way you talked with me. Thank you. You're an amazing young journalist. Even you're a diplomacy student.
Yeah,
No, you're an amazing journalist, I can say.
thank you so much. That means a lot.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Dear guests, I hope you enjoyed the episode number 11 of the Coffee with YEA podcast. Hopefully, learned something new. And please be sure to follow our guest, Branislava, on her Instagram, and also Western Balkans profile on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you again for the next episode. Goodbye.